Many fine chefs learn to love cooking early in life. Not Jenn Louis. She traveled the world before discovering her own passion for the kitchen while working for Outward Bound, deep in the woods of North Carolina.
Today, she's chef and co-owner of 2 restaurants in Portland, Oregon. Lincoln, named to Condé Nast Traveler's top 50 new restaurants in North America. And Sunshine Tavern, Food and Wine magazine, named her Best New Chef Northwest in 2012. And she's twice been a semifinalist for the James Beard Foundation's Best Chef Northwest. That's a lot of bests. Chef Jenn Louis, welcome to The Dish.
Thank you very much for having me.
This looks great. What have we got?
Well, this is one of my favorite meals. So I'm going to start with the pork. It's porchetta. So porchetta can be made with different cuts of pork. This is a coppa, which is part of the shoulder. And I fill it with fennel pollen and garlic and sage. And I roast it really, really slowly so it's incredibly tender and moist. Over on the other side, I've got gnocchi. And I don't know if you know, but I'm writing a book about Italian dumplings.
I knew you were writing a book. It's about Italian dumplings?
It's about Italian dumplings.
I already want to read it.
It's a whole genre of...
So you get to like spend a year just working with dumplings?
2.
2?
3.
3?
Yeah,
Wow.
for the past few years, I've been collecting different recipes and learning about not just gnocchi, but there's dumplings in each region. The north of Italy, they have breadcrumb-based gnocchi or dumplings. And what's cool is because it's such treacherous travel in northern Italy, or it used to be, they'd make bread 4 times a year, eat it fresh, then they'd dry it, and they'd make dumplings. In the middle of the country, it's ricotta and potato, and in the south, semolina. So it's really different dumplings based on region.
I want to ask you about this drink because I also want to ask you about working side by side with your husband, but
Yes.
he is the guy that created this drink. So what are we having?
Well, he didn't create it. It's one of our favorites. We love Negronis. And this is actually a classic cocktail as well called the Burleone, very similar, but Chinar, which is an artichoke liqueur, replaces Campari. And it is morning, so we should probably just have a little bit of drink, right?
You have to sample. Oh, wow, this is really good.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
But tell me about working side by side with your husband because you guys now are in the restaurant. I mean, do you cook side by side every day? And do you have rules like Las Vegas rules? What
You
stays in the
have to
kitchen?
have rules, always rules. We actually have different roles. So I run the kitchen, which is called the back of the house. My husband runs the front of the house, so he runs all service elements and the bars. And so we have different jobs, but we work together really well. I love business and I love the creative elements of cooking and running a kitchen. And so we share the business end and work on everything from the books to everything needs to happen big picture. Publicity.
We alluded to this earlier, but you have a pretty unconventional cooking background that really kind of kicked off when you were in Outward Bound in North Carolina.
Yep, I did an Outward Bound course when I was 17. After college, a friend of mine from the course that we did, she had been working for Outward Bound, cooking for the course directors on site in the middle of the woods. And she was leaving that job one summer. She said, "You should get the job." And I said, "I've never cooked before." And she's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." So I convinced them that I was the best one for the job. I got the job for the summer, and it was the best job I've ever had.
How did you convince them, by the way?
Special words.
When I look at your background, you started off with a catering company, which is really non-traditional. We've had a lot of chefs, but that's something we don't normally see. How did you make the move from a catering chef to such a world-renowned?
It was, you just do. My husband and I talked a lot about opening a restaurant, and we went back and forth for a while. I had my catering business for 8 years before we started our first restaurant, Lincoln. And it was just kind of a natural progression, and it's done really well.
I know you went to a tough period in the recession with the catering business. How did you pull through that?
You go back to business 101 with everything. So when we first opened our Lincoln in 2008, the economy completely fell apart. And you go back to all those good habits of business to make sure you're thoughtful about your spending, you're thoughtful about your labor, and it made it through.
You survived.
Well, I know you were busy writing your first cookbook. I'm excited to get this recipe for these dumplings. I want to hand you over this dish.
Thank you.
And ask you if you could have this meal with any person, past or present, who would that person be?
It would be my dad. I don't get to see him as often as I would like, so I would certainly have it with him.
Excellent pick. Well, Chef
Thanks.
Jenn Louis, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, for more on Chef Louis and the dish, head to our website at CBS This Morning.